The alternative ending of BKRR. A long time ago, when the roles were still bare text, and the mod itself was just looming on the horizon, the story of the heroes ended much earlier. Alternative ending of BKRR. It was at the moment where Semyon gets on the bus and looks back for the last time. Behind him he left Olga Dmitrievna, the camp, 2 cats, one of which, the white lazy snowball, disappeared into the depths of the editorial basket, along with the return of Tolik, the second visit of the double and some other plot elements. His last words in the camp were, "I'll find out soon," after which he left. Where to? Then the reader was asked to decide for himself where our hero would go. The open ending gave the reader the opportunity to make a choice for himself, whether it would be the USSR, which was still holding on, but was already cracking at the seams. Or the hero will return to his world and, waking up, will admire the girl he loves sleeping next to him, with or without tails, waiting for her to wake up. Or maybe an unfamiliar and unexplored parallel world, where everything is different, and history has taken a different path. Or will he remain a counselor at all, replacing Olga Dmitrievna, tired of a long life? When finalizing the last episode, they decided to abandon the open finale. There were several reasons. The reader would probably want certainty, plus there was already some content that otherwise would have had nowhere to go, and we just agreed that the story ended dryly. As a result, our hero still got on the bus, but he got to the wrong place where he was going. What if he had arrived at his destination, and it all ended with an epilogue of the following content? Now, many years later, I am rereading my diaries written after returning from the camp. The memory of that other time has not disappeared, it has simply retreated to the far corner of memory and only occasionally makes itself felt. It's for the best. Now I wonder how it was possible to live where I came from. A place where the most common feeling is loneliness, and the main principle is to mind your own business. If Olga did not deceive, and the camp really found me, a place for which I am suitable, then he guessed very well what happened when we arrived in the city. A lot of things. I never met my parents, but an empty house and an impudent but good-natured dog were waiting for me at the address, which was taken care of by the neighbors. I carefully told Micah's parents about my background. Her mother, a big fan of fiction, in my opinion, believed me right away, but my father still considers me a strange eccentric, although the presented mobile phone prevented him from calling the paramedics immediately after the conversation. As a result, we had an unspoken agreement. I pretend to be an ordinary, albeit eccentric, schoolboy, and he, in turn, pretends to believe me. I hid my real age so as not to finish off a future relative. Miku's ancestors helped me settle paper issues that a schoolboy could not solve, and they helped me a lot in the following years, until I received a passport and became a full citizen of the USSR. The Union, by the way, was not going to fall apart. In the 90s, I started campaigning for the purchase of gold, and to calm me down, they even bought some weighty trinkets, but when nothing happened before 94, they were given to numerous relatives for various celebrations. A thick book could be written about the differences between this world and ours, but I'm unlikely to take it up, and there's no one else. After graduation, Miku and I cooled off a little bit towards each other, and I was sure that our paths would part at this point. The situation was saved by Yuliana and Alice, who promised to break my legs and pull out her hair if we did such a stupid thing. And they were not mistaken. After graduating from high school, I studied to be a child psychologist. I did not become a luminary of Soviet psychology, but the city health department believes that academic degrees and the title of honored are only a matter of time for me. The shoemaker walks without boots, the carpenter has a leaky roof, and the psychologist still has a strong dislike for passenger buses. On the verge of phobia, immediately after receiving our diplomas, we decided, enough of debauchery, and they got married. As promised, Alice was the girlfriend. Yuliana was entrusted with an equally important task: videography. Who would do this better than a professional videographer? Miku never became a professional musician, but preferred a career as a music teacher. Under a male pseudonym, she writes music for films and is in good demand as a composer, but avoids fame by all means. Now she is expecting a baby, knits baby clothes and looks quite happy. I visited my hometown in the summer after graduating from university. Strangely, even the street where I lived was in its place. However, a swimming pool was found on the site of the house. That's where he's going, between you and me. I've never liked this human anthill. Alas, time has methodically taken us to different places. Alice and Tolik have become musicians after all and are touring. Yuliana is hanging out with a film crew. Lena got married and went to Yugoslavia. the Slavs returned to their north, to a small town near Irkutsk. I never found out anything about the others. From Semyon, who stayed in the camp, we received congratulations on the wedding, and nothing else for 10 years. I'm not offended. In his endless life, we flashed by a tiny episode, and it would be foolish to expect that he would remember us for a long time. Our house, the one that came from non-existent parents, is closely adjacent to a huge forest park, so a squirrel on the windowsill or an owl on the clothes dryer is a common thing, not to mention a bunch of small birds. Sometimes they are touching, more often they annoy, but I always find something tasty for the owl, because I want to believe that this is the owl from the camp who is watching over us. It's time to believe that the miracles are over. But sometimes, at night, between 3 o'clock and dawn, or, as it is called, nightmare time, I wake up and think that all this may also be unreal. That I might wake up somewhere else. When these fears overwhelm me, I touch Miku's hand, sleeping next to me, and they retreat. I will wake up here and nowhere else, always.